Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Founder's Journey into Bitcoin. And today we're very lucky to be joined by Jordhy, the CEO and founder of Bifari. They are revolutionizing the way we do advertisements, first on digital billboards and then on more edge cases, such as smartphones and other types of digital devices. But before we get into how they are disrupting the advertisement industry, I'd like to invite Jordhy up and share his story with us before he started Bifari. Hi, Jordhy. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Albert. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of speaking with you many times, and your story, even before you became an entrepreneur, was not only inspirational to me, but also very impressive. Can you share some highlights on what you were doing before you became an entrepreneur?
Sure. I guess I'm a story of how social programs help people. I come from the Dominican Republic, which is it's an island, it's half an island. So we share the island with Haiti, which is the poorest country in America. We are a poor country ourselves, but we are generally among the fastest growing economies in America. So the DR is, a fast-paced environment where a lot of people are working, a lot of people are hustling. So throughout the country, people have a side gig. They are selling fruit, or they are baking cakes and selling them on the side. So I will say the DR is one of the most entrepreneurial economies in America. I was born by the right after the end of the dictatorship. We had a dictatorship that lasted 31 years, and my father was for a brief time sort of like a hustler. He was a person that wanted to get out of the mountain and go into the city. So he was an entrepreneur. That was his biggest entrepreneurial thing. He was the first person that wore shoes in my family, and his father, my grandfather, he was the first person that learned to read in the family. So he got to learn to read numbers. He couldn't do letters. But my father was the first person that got to go to school because he got to buy shoes. He saved for 2 years to buy shoes. And my mother, she was like a water transporter. So she would walk without shoes for like 2 hours, just like moving water across towns. And they were like child workers. So I was the first everything in my family. These people, they hustled. They came from no civilization to the civilization, and they gave me everything. So I'm really a product of that love and of that effort, and I'm the product of many social programs that built me up. So I really had like no expectations in life, as I was raised in an industrial town. So my house was next to a factory, so the sky will go red like every day. So I developed all of these asthma problems and respiration, breathing problems and all that. So I overcame that. And, it was hard. Like I went to school in a horse. We didn't have TVs. We didn't have phones. We didn't have a lot of money. I started working when I was 8 years old. I was like showing movies or organizing beauty pageants. By the time I was 12, I was working 3 jobs. So I was working the weekends, catching balls on a baseball field. I was working with my father on a bakery, and I was teaching in school, like in a side program. My family prioritized my education, and they went into debt to buy me books because they just couldn't buy the books up front. And I was a very smart kid. I had this habit of reading encyclopedias. And my father, he got into debt to buy me encyclopedias because the town didn't have encyclopedias. So I was like the only kid in town reading encyclopedias. I was an incredibly energetic kid. So I was in theater, I was doing chess, I was playing chess, I was in the math Olympiads, I was in the literary clubs. And I was, I became like a leadership figure in some of these fields. I became the captain of the math Olympiads of my high school. I became like a leading actor in school. We got to tour the country. And I was doing a lot of stuff. But the key to all of this was the social programs. I was selected by the Japanese embassy. I was 15. We got some money, we got some grant money for doing projects in robotics. So I was 15, I was reading encyclopedias, I was in this town, going to school in horses by day, and then working with robots by after school. And that was incredible because I got to go to the capital. At this time, I'm like paying transportation 1 hour to go to the capital and back. So every time I wanted to see a robot, I had to go to the capital. And every time I wanted to engage with internet and all that sort of stuff, I had to like pay for all this transportation, which was incredibly hard. And I was studying sometimes without electricity, with like candles and that sort of stuff, because we have a lot of blackouts in the DR. I won the Math Olympiads, the regional in my town. I got third place in the nationals the first time I participated in that sort of stuff. Second time I participated in that, I won first place, so national math champion. I kept going. Every time I tell a story, I cry, but I'm not gonna cry because I've told the story many times. I kept going. I participated in chess, so I won the chess championship of the school. Now, at this point, I'm in school in university, and I have 3 scholarships. And they asked me, why do you win 3 scholarships? Because you already won like 1 full scholarship. Why do you win 3? Because I have a brother and a sister, and I wanted to win a scholarship for all of them because we didn't have money to go to school. So I won a scholarship, not for me, but for my whole family. And they told me I couldn't transfer my scholarship to them, which obviously wasn't the case. But they won different prizes, different awards on their own, because my family, they just did an amazing effort to build us up. And I had this drive in me, not only to make money or win awards, I had this drive to change society, because I come from a broken social place where, there's really not much to go by. And when you come from these places where there's like tremendous disparity, economic injustice, problems, and all of that, then, you want to change things and you want to innovate. And for me, computer science was a way not only to move forward in society and to move up in the economic ladder, but to change the economic reality of the places from which I came. So I joined programs by ASEC that allowed me to work abroad. I worked in Egypt for a while. I joined the Fulbright program. I won the Fulbright scholarship that allowed me to go to the University of Berkeley in California. I declined that. I went to participate in the Math Olympiads, where we actually won in the algebra chapter, which was the one that I was training the guys in. So I got to train 4 guys that defeated like the entire continent in algebra. And we were invited to the International Math Olympiads. So that was something that I did as national math delegate. I kept going. I just kept going. I was top of my class. Then I graduated. I was hired by Deloitte, which was a top consulting firm in my country. That wasn't enough for me, so I started a web development firm. That web development firm was among the top in the country. I just kept going. We got to do the multiple big sites for my country. We got to do the site of the first lady of our country. I got to meet with the president of my country. It was like a half-an-hour meeting. It was incredibly, you're 25 years old, right? And you're in a room with the president of your country and you're meeting this person and you just get these flashbacks. God, I used to go to school in a horse like, you know, you get these flashbacks of social injustice, and you see that there was this way for you to level things up, right? And then at that point, I started creating employment, and that was magical because I started employing poor people, and that stuff. When you get to that point, that you made it, but now you have the capacity to help other people make it. That is what starts the entrepreneurial spark, because by that point you realize that you have what it takes to change society, and you have gotten a taste of it. So now you just want to do more and more and more, because you know that you can help people not by giving them a handout like the government does, or like the church does, but you can give them tools to change their lives. And that's what's so magical about capitalism. Capitalism has this vulture side, but it also has a builder side. And I love that builder side, in which you can take an idea, innovate, create magical solutions, employ people, and build them up. I got a scholarship to attend the Darden School of Business, which is part of the University of Virginia, one of the top public universities. I got another like admission to Dartmouth. I declined going to the Ivy League, and I went to Darden because it was free for me at that point, and I was still, well off, but still not rich, not very rich. And for me, the scholarship made all the difference. So when I went there, they just kept throwing stuff at me. They kept throwing resources at me, and they threw thousands of resources at me. So I got to meet like key industry like founders, leadership, politicians, saw speeches from industry leaders like nearly every week. It was a very highly transformational program. So they placed me in one of the top things that I've done in my life up to today. They placed me in a group of professors that were writing a business case. And we were doing a business case for Best Buy and Rosetta Stone. So we get the funding to do the case. We get the data. This is millions and millions of records. I'm in my 30s by this point, and I decided to do the crossover. So by this point, I have built the top e-commerce site of the Caribbean. By this point, I've gotten multiple awards, in some of them international awards. The first time I was featured in national TV, I was 14 years old. But by this time, I've already, been around the media. So like, it's like multiple people interview you like multiple times. But by this time, I get this opportunity, which is you're gonna write a business case with like the top finance school of one of the top schools of the planet. And this person's gonna work with you, and we want to analyze how businesses in America can sell in Spanish. And we want you to do the numbers and create the case and create the business science that could actually help business people decide if they can sell bilingually, so that America turns a little bit more like Canada is, right? Becoming more inclusive for people of different languages. So we do the case, and it becomes a top business selling case in America. And I sell more cases than all of the professors that train me. And I sell more cases than all of the business professors in that year. And Bloomberg Business Week writes an article about me. I file some papers, and I get an EB1 designation, which is the Alien of Extraordinary Ability designation. So I get my green card. I'm put on a path to citizenship. Barack Obama follows me on Twitter. Schumer follows me on Twitter. I get all of this stuff thrown at me, more social resources, and then I move up again. And by that point, this is 2011, 2012, but this is the point where I discovered Bitcoin. When I discovered Bitcoin, I got into Bitcoin really early. So I was a Bitcoin miner, a Litecoin miner, a Prime Coin miner. I was trading by that point. First time I bought Bitcoin, it was $32. It's like I joined the forums more than a decade ago, the Bitcoin forum, the Bitcoin Talk forum, and I've been in the community ever since, building stuff. And I decided, 3 years ago, I decided to create my own protocol to change society and to use this technology to supercharge everything that I wanted to do, like all my dreams. And we started creating the business case. We started just drafting what this stuff could be, and it just took off. It just took off. We've created now a community of thousands of people. We have over 20,000 followers. We have a lot of partnerships, a lot of billboards, a lot of a lot of real estate in which we can show ads, and the project's been going rapidly ever since. So it's a Cinderella story for me. I am incredibly grateful. I am a child of luck. I am a product of luck, but I'm also a product of social programs. Social programs work. The money that you contribute, either sending money to Africa to buy shoes for children, or contributing your tax money so that the government can help people in Latin America, that stuff works, and we get the chance. When we move up and come to America, we get to tell you that social programs work, and that we are incredibly grateful for it, and we will work until our hands start becoming bones. We're gonna just work forever to pay it forward, not only to pay it back, but to pay it forward and help even more people. So I guess that gives you a little bit of an insight of how I came into this wonderful field of Bitcoin startups.
Wonderful. Thank you for that overview, Jordhy. I'm always re-inspired. But this time it's a real treat, because this time I got to hear it all together. And I hope the audience is also enjoying your founder's journey into Bitcoin. I want to, there's like many things that I want to ask more questions about, but let me just pick a few highlights, because from my point of view, it seems like these are pivotal moments in your life. Now, of course, one of the pivotal moments, right, is that your parents, your father had the foresight, right, to not only be the only person to wear shoes and to learn how to read. I think that was your grandpa, learned how to read in numbers, right? And then, but he also had the foresight to actually go into debt to make sure you had all the right reading materials with the encyclopedia, right? So that is I found that a lot of founders, their story, they have somebody special in their life where that person before them sees the talent in the young you, in the young entrepreneur, and they are able to nurture that talent. In your case, you just had like a unquenchable curiosity, right, and energy to learn things. Is that is that correct?
My father is an amazing figure. He's an amazing fighter. He's like he's a gladiator, and he defeated adversity. He is a person that actually made it from nothing, from the mountains, first person out of to complete college of my family. He became a professor. He's a member of the Scientific Association of the Dominican Republic. Emeritus professor, persona grata. He's been in politics. He's a machine. He was in sales for a while. He was selling mining equipment. He helped build some of the biggest roads in DR. He made a lot of money, and instead of gambling that money or drinking that money or squandering that money, he invested in his sons and his daughter. And we are poor people that got to study in the best universities in the planet. My brother got to study in Europe in 2 amazing universities. My sister also got to travel the world. She's now a CPG executive. But we are people that, you know, that come from very little, but our father gave us 10 times more than what he had to give us. I was the first person with a Nintendo in my street, with a computer in my street, with internet, with cable. I had my own study room. So they built like an annex to the house, which was my study room. And I had like my personal library filled with books. This is before I'm 20. This is like before I'm going to university. So I'm winning all of these awards, but I have this platform, you know, like tutors and people helping me and whatever. And I was a mathlete at that time. So I'm like competing in all of these math competitions. I'm winning awards for myself, for the country, just to like make history, you know. And then I got to help maybe 10 like, you know, MIT PhDs, Princeton PhDs, Berkeley PhDs, like people that actually got to go to the top schools in the planet and that come from poor backgrounds. I got to help those people, and that's just amazing. Most of the people that come from my background, they wanted to get into academia, because for us it's like very prestigious to be a professor. I wanted to make money and change society. I wanted to like be a professor on the side, but I wanted to see the social change happen. So that's like another level, right? And it was great. It was great, but I owe most of that to my father, especially to my father. Oh, and obviously the genes, obviously, right? That's
Right. No, I mean, it's very clear to me now that he was, not only did he give you a lot, but I think if I could make the assumption that he was a very good example too. Like he just never
he
gives
was a
up.
very a very good example, and then my mother was also a very good example. My mother was an orphan, and she was raised by a different mother, and that different mother was socially connected, so we gained from those social connections. But my mother got to live in China, she got to live in Japan, she got to live in India, and she brought back all of those cultures, so that instilled in us a global mindset. So, you know, I got lucky because I got a really good mix of humble people that were incredibly hardworking, and they gave me a work ethic that was just insane. So I've been in a lot of places, and I'm usually the hardest working person at every place that I go, and people just don't seem to like believe how much a person can get done. But when they see me and they say, "Oh my God, you're writing books and you are teaching and you are doing this and that and this and that," it's because we enjoy it. We enjoy that. So I am. Some people call me a polymath. Other people just call me prolific. I'm an award-winning poet, um, an award-winning mathematician, a teacher, award-winning case story writer, award-winning web designer, award-winning entrepreneur. But I just keep going because I like the process so much. And I don't think that this society thrives on specialization of people. That's okay. But we also have to remind ourselves of the Tribune, the essential books, you know, Grief, Academia, and all that stuff. Diversity of knowledge gives you freedom. Specialization, that's okay. That brings about a paycheck. But maybe with specialization, you will not be able to explore your passions and realize your potentials. Math is great, but I have a friend in particular. He's well, I'm not gonna mention like any names. He's like a person that went to MIT, got like the top prize at MIT, but he's working a very focused job. And he always wanted to do more. You need to like have a breadth of experience so that you can actually do more, because with that breadth of experience comes a breadth of contacts and a breadth of practical knowledge that you can implement. And then you can bring stuff from different industries. And that makes you pretty hard to compete against, because it's like I think that life is not like boxing or kickboxing. It's more like mixed martial arts where you can throw in anything. and that makes you like a tougher competitor, but it also makes you a more effective human, if you will. So that diversity is also a big part of success, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, diversity is one of the, I think one of the foundations of being an entrepreneur that could stand the test of time. And, speaking about diversity, I noticed that you said that you used to work for Deloitte, but then you
Mhm,
left Deloitte to start
mhm,
the website company that
mhm.
eventually became the biggest in your country. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I think, the really interesting thing about consulting, like top consulting companies, is that it's sort of like one of those like top choices for top students, right? It's either that or investment banking. And what happens is like, it almost becomes like in the beginning, it seems like a blessing, but most people, it becomes a curse in the sense that they become less and less innovative, right? They think they're doing a lot because they get a big paycheck. But if you look at Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or any of these top entrepreneurs globally or even in China, et cetera, right? None of them went to consulting, right? Or if they did, they only spent very little time in there. They
Mhm.
didn't get like corrupted, right? I'm not saying they're bad, but it's almost like that type of training is counter to the training an entrepreneur needs to succeed, right?
Mhm.
Right. And so I just found it interesting. How are you able to make the jump? Because, you're saying you came from very modest beginnings, and I'm sure that salary was pretty nice. That's pretty
Mhm.
nice. So it must have been like a pretty big decision for you to leave a branded company like Deloitte. This is a top consulting company with probably like a pretty nice salary compared to other people, right? And then you go and do something entrepreneurial and do
One
website company. Can you go through like what was it easy for you? Was it difficult? What was it? Right.
one of the things that I've done the most, probably than most of the people that I know, is turn down good opportunities,
Okay.
and even great opportunities. So what I go for are historic opportunities, and that's not something. When you do that, it's not something that you do out of brag. It's not something that you do out of greed. It's something that you do out of passion and connection to your heart. So a consulting company will never be something that you connect to your heart and to your passion. And that's when I started my web development company, Design Studio, which did one of some of the biggest projects in our country. Now, to make that jump happen, I lasted like a year and a half in Deloitte. So it wasn't like I stayed there for like 10 years. But I completed a lot of certifications. So I became like a Microsoft certified professional. I was doing like a lot of certifications in auditing and a lot of training. They train you a lot in those firms. So in terms of training you up and building you up is just amazing. And in terms of social connections and meeting the top clients of the country, it's also great. I started the firm with a rich guy that was he was son of one of the top 10 richest people in my country. So he financed the whole thing initially. Then by a lot of stuff, I buy the business from him. But he actually named the business. He created the first logo. He brought in the first clients. And I was just learning. So I was just like looking at these people and sort of like shadowing them, what they did. And eventually I started buying a lot of books from Brian Tracy, from Tony Robbins, buying a lot of books of how to run businesses and all that jazz. And I started building myself up. Did some courses from Dale Carnegie to help me be less of an introvert. And I just sort of steer I roll with the punches. I steer with the waves. And I loved consulting. And I was always a consultant, a very professional consultant. And
Mhm.
I think that it really can make being an entrepreneur and being a scrappy person, it can make it hard because you want to put a lot of resources into everything you do, but it's not something that you cannot make work for yourself in your benefit. It's something that you can steer. So you can develop this switch that turns the consultant off and focuses on the goal and gets the job done, even if it's using scrappy means, very little funding, very low resources. So I think that is something that you can turn off. Some people that last a lot in those fields, they cannot turn it off. And they even say, I wouldn't do a project if I don't have like a $20 million budget or whatever. But as an entrepreneur, I learned to be very scrappy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think that might be because of your diverse experience and knowledge before, and so you're able to turn it off. And it seems like, you know, you did a lot of stuff before that too. So it wasn't like your first thing, right? So yeah, it's good.
If you were to guess, if you were to guess how many jobs I had in my life, just pick a number. Just tell me how many jobs I had in my life. Just tell me.
Dude, I think you already mentioned like 20 something just in this conversation. So I'm guessing you didn't mention all of them. So I'd say like 30 or 40.
Yeah, over 50. Over 50.
Wow. Wow.
So I work for over, so let me see. Accenture was another top consulting firm that I worked for. WorldPay, which is like one of the top e-commerce processing businesses. Obviously the university, Deloitte, obviously. And then in terms of like clients that I've consulted for, that's over 100.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
So what year was this when you transitioned from Deloitte to the website company? What year was that?
Okay, so I transitioned from, so I got in Deloitte, that was 99. I got in 99 and I got out 2001, more or less.
Okay. And when did you meet the president? When did you meet the president of your country before you moved to the US? I mean, you say you're 25, but what year was that? I'm just curious.
I was doing the InfoLab project, so that was 2006 probably.
Okay, so between 2006 and 2011, right? Like something led you to Bitcoin, right? You know, it's like
I was completing an MBA.
You almost done everything already, right? Before you're 30. Like, most people like take a lifetime, but you've already did it before you're 30. And yeah, what was like the years leading into Bitcoin? I'm just curious. Like how did you find out about it, and what were the years like? I mean, it's
so I was a precocious kid. I was coding in COBOL when I was 13 with a lot of pretty old people. So I've been around a lot of old people.
COBOL, yeah.
Yeah, COBOL, you know. And
yeah,
and I code. I love to coded in COBOL, Pascal, Basic, Delphi, Java, all that jazz, you know. And now we're coding in Lisp. So I mean, just getting into the room and talking to people and doing stuff, it's been very easy for me. When I got to do my MBA program, we got exposed to Bitcoin and we got exposed to a bunch of technology. I was doing my MBA, class of 2012. So we got into Darden 2010, graduated on 2012. And this is what I discovered TechCrunch. This is what I realized what venture capital is. This is what I realized what an angel investor is. This is what I realized there's this platform to like build businesses. And then I meet this Haitian founder. He started a company called Lend Street, and he brings me in as his number two.
Lend Street?
Lend Street Financial. Yeah, Lend Street Financial.
Like lending, borrowing, lending. Okay.
Yeah. Instead of Wall Street, Lend Street. So Jerry in the morning, he was a Haitian founder that comes from an even more disadvantaged background as I did. And we are just traveling all around the US, getting, you know, asking for funds on whatever. And eventually he arrives in Miami, talks to a founder, and the founder agrees to finance the first like $28 million for the company. At this point, we are just like coding the platform. And we won a JP Morgan competition. I think it was called the Finovate competition. That's where we placed 10th, first time. Then I leave his company. He takes the platform, builds it up, and he goes on to raise $158 million. So he didn't stop there. So he raised a lot of money. He's based in Oakland, California, and it's one top peer-to-peer lending company, one of the big success stories of the school. And we were also, profiled by the Barring Institute, amazing opportunity, all that jazz. It was great. I mean, it was also a great opportunity. So by that point, I'm in finance, I'm in fintech. And by that point, I'm also exposed to like numbers and the cutting edge of venture capital and business. And it was at that point that I discovered Bitcoin. So it was between 2011 and 2012. But it was what I was in fintech at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Do you still remember, like, was it like a news article? Or was it a friend, or what was that point, that first point of contact?
Well, one of the more vivid images that I have, that's not from 2011 or 2012. The most vivid image that I have about falling in love with Bitcoin was Trish Regan on Street Smarts on Bloomberg Business Week. So what happened with Jerry was this. So I'm in Lend Street, I'm with Jerry. Jerry offers me $80K and 2.5% of the company to like join him in what eventually became a $1 billion company, or close. We'll have to call him to know how much, but it's a pretty big company right now. So if he offers me that percentage and everything, and I'm telling him, Jerry, this is not going to work. The startup jobs, the Jobs Act for visas for startup founders was declined. It didn't pass Congress. There's no way you can get me a work visa to work in this company with you. So the way the legislation works, if you get an H-1B visa, you have to work for that sole company. If you're a co-founder, you cannot work for the company. So you need like either an investor visa or you need like a special visa. And what the Jobs Act was trying to do was to create a category for startup founders that if you get $25 million in investments, you will get the visa. That's why he wanted to raise more than $25 million. So he raises $28 million, but the law doesn't pass. So at that point, I had to, you either like find somebody to get married to, break the law, or just go back to your country or whatever. And I went back to my country and I applied for the visa and I got the EB1 green card. So eventually I came back, but I came back 3 years after that. So I am back in my country running my business. And by this time it's like 2013. And I turned on Bloomberg TV and there's this Trish Regan talking about Bitcoin. She's wearing white. I remember this video vividly. And then I just joined the Bitcoin forums, and I remember Fontas, which was a popular trader at that point. And I remember the BTC-E exchange that was running in Russia and was then raided by the FBI. I used to trade there a lot. And I remember like all of these places, I remember losing money in Mt. Gox and all this stuff. Fun times. So the first time that I bought Bitcoin, it was in I think it was called BeerX. It was like a Japanese website where you bought tokens for Second Life, where you bought the Second Life token. And the way that I bought Bitcoin was that I traded dollars via PayPal for Second Life tokens, and then I traded the Second Life tokens for Bitcoin.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, and then I bought my first Bitcoins in Japan, and then I started mining. Then I started, like making some money. We invested in a business called Cyphermine, which went down. That one was the top like Litecoin mining company in the planet. I got to own 5% of Cyphermine. So my stake was worth like maybe $4 million before everything collapsed and everything went down. We got to invest in HashFast, which was a company that also went down. That one was with Naval Ravikant, which was one of the top angel investors. And we did that through Cyphermine. And it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a ride.
Oh, no. Thanks for sharing that. Now I finally know why when you talk about blockchain and crypto and Web3, that you know, I could tell that it's very intuitive for you, you know, and now I know because you have this foundation of being in the mix and being a active user, right? You know, active miner.
We used to
When the foundation was forming.
we used to engage with Satoshi in the early days. So
Mhm.
we used to like, so, you know, in the early days, Satoshi would post and everybody would say, Satoshi posted this and whatever. And you would go to the thread and you would read at that time what Satoshi posted. It was like natural for us. It wasn't like, he wasn't like a mythical figure or anything at that point. He was just a guy coding stuff. Nobody knew who he was, but he was just a guy coding stuff for us. So this stuff is not mythical for us. We really, it's just a movement where we are coding this thing and making it happen.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Okay, so let's fast forward a few years, and somehow you your journey into Bitcoin brought you to Stacks, and then to Bitfari, and then to Ordinals, right? And then to the disruption of advertisement, starting
Yeah.
with digital billboards. So let's talk about this, because this is what you're doing now. It's been an amazing ride, and it almost seems like all the experience that you learned all around the world and across the different industries and businesses and experience that you had, right, is coming to a focal point, and that is Bitfari. Um, so can you share with us how you got into this? You know, start from the, like, let's continue after the Bitcoin, moving to Stacks and Bitfari and Ordinals now.
Yeah. Um, um, it's um, it's um, it's the opportunity of a lifetime to make everything converge and make it into a business, make it into a blockchain, make it into something that can change the planet. Very few things are common across localities globally. One of them is billboards. You can find billboards in nearly every country that you visit. So they are a global phenomenon. One of the structures or institutions that is as broken as banks are agencies. So advertisement agencies are incredibly broken. So they are ripe for disruption. So we hope to do for advertising what Bitcoin did for money. So if Bitcoin disrupts banks, Bitfari disrupts advertising industries. So we want to take the power of advertising and give it to the people with this decentralized advertising protocol, peer-to-peer advertising protocol that allows you to place ads without having to go through an agency. So what that,
Okay.
so what
I'll
that,
pause.
yeah, yeah.
Can I pause there for a second? So
Yeah,
that
sure.
was a very powerful vision, right? So if Bitcoin disrupt currency and centralized banking, then Bitfari is going to disrupt advertising, right? Now,
Yes.
let me just so the audience can follow along with us. So now, like, one of the features, right? One of the features that Bitfari does is that now you can use less money and have more targeted advertising, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's one. So before you had a big budget, right? And you're buying all this advertisement, and probably a lot of it is not even the advertisement time or space that you want, right? But now you have made that taken away all that inefficiency. So people are just paying for the part that they need,
Yes.
which is that's huge, right? And that's very disruptive, because centralized advertising, they want to sell you a lot of stuff you don't need, right, for their own benefit. And it's sort of like centralized banking in a sense, right? You want your money to be in a safe place, but they also force you to accept a lot of other things, which makes your money not so safe, right? So can we double click into that a little bit about how you're doing for advertising what Bitcoin is doing for
Yeah. Yeah.
banking?
So you go to the agency with a $10 million budget, and the agency might take a 90% cut out of that 10 million. So you get
Yeah.
1 million worth of publicity, and the agency gets 90%. Now, agency numbers didn't used to be public until Google got in the game. So when Google gets in the game, now you know that Google might take from 70% to 80% to 90% of your budget. And if you're coming to Google and you say, here's $10 million, Google might take 7 million out of that 10 million, and you might get 3 million in publicity, but what happened to the other 7 million? So that stuff can be made incredibly much more efficient. And that's what we do. We cut out the middleman and we let you pick where you want to run ads, at what times, using which algorithms, and just be more and more and more efficient. Yeah, it's the same. So if you want to do a Swift, it's like $25. With Bitcoin, you can do it for pennies. With Bitfari, it's the same. If you want to run ads and you only have some dollars, you can do it and have 10x the efficiency. So if you're putting $100,000 into Bitfari, you're getting close to the effect of $1 million in publicity. So you're gonna 10x whatever your competition is doing with less budget, with less money. And that's what we're doing for customers across America. So we have over 3,000 billboards in America and over 250,000 billboards globally. And now what's new with the technology is that you can connect smartphones, you can connect laptop computer screens, you can connect smart screens, smart TVs to the platform and project ads on any of those screens and make money as a decentralized advertising station. So what we plan to do is we plan to become the biggest advertising network in the planet, and we plan to be 10x bigger than Google, 10x bigger than Facebook, and 10x bigger than all of the agencies combined. Still to this day, the billboard advertising market is the largest advertising market in the planet. It's the fastest way for us to get to know stuff. And if you run the numbers, the messages that you distribute across billboards are more important than emails, than online ads and everything. These are the most important messages that we socialize every day. And it's the most inadequate advertising market that there is out there. That's why we pick it first, because it's the biggest market with the most money, and it's the most ripe for disruption. This is a market where people print stuff on a piece of paper and plaster it on a piece of wood. It's an incredibly archaic way to distribute messages, and we are here to disrupt it, make it more efficient and more cost effective.
Yeah, super. So, I mean, this is really exciting. You create a lot of value. So, I mean, I heard one of the key, I mean, you're right. I mean, Google and a few others have basically monopolized the advertisement industry, right? At least in the US, but you know, it's not very different in other countries. Maybe it's Google, maybe it's another, you know, oligopoly basically. and like you said, they take 70 and 90% of profits. So as a business, you're almost working for them, right? you like it's like you run a restaurant and the landlord charges you really high rent. So you end up, you're like working for landlord basically. In this case, the landlord is the advertisement company, right? And then so Bitfari comes in and says, well, we can put that 70 and 90% back to work in essence, because you put this on a blockchain, you can fractionalize this and redistribute those funds, right? Can you share with the audience how you redistribute some of that to create better, you know, better advertisement for people and everyone involved?
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is that we tokenize the billboards. The second thing that we do is that we give ownership to auditors that audit ads. So this makes the ads run in a decentralized fashion automatically. So there doesn't need to be a centralized entity approving ads or reviewing ads. Everything happens on chain, and everything happens by conduction of decentralized actors, which have the power for which ads get shown. Now, that's number one. Number two, there's the intelligence of where to distribute each ad, which is something that we match with people's wallet. So if you have a wallet, in your wallet, NFTs that relate to X product, or you have in your wallet a balance that nominates you as a potential customer of a high ticket item or luxury item, then we know where to distribute this ad. So wallets, crypto wallets, are becoming the most high value repository of personal information for advertisers. And that is a minefield that advertisers haven't seen. What if you could look into your customer's wallet and see how much money they have? That allows you to target your advertisements towards the people that have the money to pay for the stuff that you're selling. This allows you to advertise your products towards people that have bought similar products or competitors' products because you see their transactions on the wallet. If there's somebody that has an NFT because this person is a car collector, now you can advertise to car collectors based on their memberships to clubs, not based on what they like, but by Facebook or whatever, based on what they have bought, based on what they have put money into. So it becomes the most efficient and the most pure signal to send an ad to. And also for you, it becomes the most relevant ad that you see. So relevance is a part of the process. So you have this automation, this decentralization, this peer-to-peer process, auditors that work all by themselves and are not employees. And all of this stuff is happening without us having to intervene as an agency. Ads get moderated, ads get distributed, but ads get allocated towards people that are going to manifest interest in them because they are highly relevant. So when you add all that sauce up, you come up with better ads for society and with better results for advertisers.
Yeah, I can see how the operating cost for that is more efficient, right? And also, it sounds like instead of us letting Google make that 80-90%, instead of having like that centralized organization, your platform has decentralized the tasks, right? The auditing, etc.
Yeah. So
part of that money goes to them, but the billboards, they're so happy because they're still making money. So you're sort of cutting out the middleman. Is that what's happening?
We are cutting out multiple middlemen. We don't have a need for servers because miners can run our software in their computers. So everything runs on chain. We are cutting out the need for auditors. So for example, Facebook has close to 40,000 like content moderators, like only in Miami. And they have more across the globe. But they have like people moderating ads and moderating content in some big facilities. We don't need that. We don't need those employees. We don't need Google servers to distribute these ads. And we don't need big hard drives because now with IPFS, you can store like billboard images on chain as well. And this is persistent storage. So it's not like somebody can put in an image and then change it later. With persistent storage, they put in an image and that image is going to remain unchangeable throughout the life of the chain. So there's a lot of security to distributing these ads as well. So we are cutting out storage costs, processing cost, auditing cost. We are cutting out agency commissions. We are cutting out some billboard network commissions as well. It's like we are cutting out 5 middlemen across every transaction.
Oh, that's amazing. So and I think this is extremely valuable, right? Because before billboards and big advertisement was only accessible by the richest companies, but now small businesses, people just starting off, even like Web3 companies that are normally banned from Google, right? And other media sources, you guys can also service. This is a game changer. This is a game changer. And all thanks to your vision with a combination of cryptography and smart contracts, right? And so so you built this platform first, I think it was on Stacks, right? And then you started doing some augmentations with ordinals. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So now with ordinals, we can mint coupons on Bitcoin, and we can mint tokens on Bitcoin and use the direct minting on Bitcoin via ordinals to put your advertisements on Bitcoin as mementos that are going to be on chain forever, minting at the lowest possible price on the longest possible chain with the highest possible levels of security. And you can choose to distribute these ads where your money is. So right now we have ads on Bitcoin directly without using stacks via ordinal minting which further simplifies everything and lowers the minting cost and the mining cost. And in the future, we're gonna have also coupons on Bitcoin minting with the stamps protocol. So we plan to use both the BRC20 and the SRC20. And with the stamps protocol, what we plan to do for coupons is we wanna mint those ads and offers as coupons. And when you pay with Bitcoin, you're gonna be able to send Bitcoins and send a stamp as well, which is going to be a coupon to gain your discount. So these ads are going to get value. So these ads become monetizable in the future. So
okay, so let's
yeah.
pause there. Let's double click into that. That's really important, right? There's a couple of things that this allows us to do that we cannot do if it was not for the technology and how you're designing software, right? So and please correct me if I'm wrong. So one of the things that it resolves is counterfeiting, of course, for coupons. And the other one, it sounds like it makes it liquid. You could turn it to marketplace because sometimes coupons you can't find the other person to sell it to.
Yeah.
Like what can you expand on that? I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. But help me and the audience understand like what can we do now with Bitfari that we couldn't do before with coupons. Like and what kind of coupons are you talking about? Let's just give a simple example and then like this is like the before and after, right? Yeah.
Yes. So right now you can mint the ordinals and the coupons are an upcoming feature. Okay. But in the future, you will be able to mint coupons that are backed by advertising space. So the coupons have value in Faris. So when everybody is minting these coupons, giving discounts in products or services, the coupons have backing. So if you decide to trade these stamps for Faris, you will be able to do so. So minting with our platform gives absolute value to the stamps. And since they have value, you cannot counterfeit these ads or coupons unless you spend money to do so, meaning it's a completely safe market. So anybody can take a coupon, mint the coupon using the image, and create an ordinal or a stamp on Bitcoin and say, oh, this is a coupon for 20% on a car. No, it doesn't work that way. With Bitfari, we can directly tie the value of that coupon to ad space. We give it backing, and then you can trade the coupon.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
ads.
anyone can inscribe or no, but it's not linked. It's not linked
Exactly.
like to the chain. Yeah, it's
So
not
that's
linked
like the magic.
like a database. Okay.
Exactly. So that's like the magic trick that we bring into the solution, and it's incredibly important because advertising has been, and ad space has been, the currency of the internet for more than 30 years. So this is something that is going to be incredibly natural for developers to use. It's going to be incredibly natural for people. Ad space has given backing up to this point to the internet. Now with Web3 and Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is giving back into a lot of these applications. Block space is becoming the new currency, but ad space will remain as another currency that we can use to give back into coupons. So we don't need to spend twice the block space to give value to coupons and cryptocurrency. We can use block space to give value to cryptocurrency, and we can use ad space to give value to coupons.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So, okay, we're running up on time, but there's a few things I want to ask you. So, there are a few constituents that are important to creating the Bitfari ecosystem, right? You have your users, you have your advertisers, you have the auditors, you have maybe investors, or like can you talk about these different I guess like personas like in your ecosystem, because there may be people listening in the audience that may
you
fit
got
one of those
okay, so you take a blender, you fill it up with butter, you take you fill it up with milk, and you take 2 mice, you drop them in the blender and you start the blender. And there, one of the rat gets out. The other one just dies, crushed by the blender. I'm the rat that got out. The way you get out is that you start spinning and you start shaking the milk until the milk becomes butter and you bubble out of the blender. And the other rat just gives up and says, oh my God, I'm inside a blender. I see this giant blade. I'm either gonna drown in the milk or the blade is going to cut me up. Okay, so I'm the guy that didn't give up. I'm the rat that just kept spinning. And by, sheer force of trying to make this thing, I first discovered the pieces that I needed, and then I got them. So the biggest piece is the community. So the community, it's our auditor force. They own digital land, which is like geographic space, and that gives them the chance to become auditors in that part of the globe. They audit ads in that part of the globe. And it's really important because if you have 10 auditors, you can manage, let's say 100 billboards or 1,000 billboards. But if you don't have auditors, you cannot manage all of those ads or all of those billboards. So that's number one. Number two, we have partnerships with billboard owners. And that gives us the space with the eyeballs. So through our billboards, any ad that we show, let's say we show it nationally, it can be seen by 100 million people in a day, since we have billboards all across the US, in highways and so on. So that's another key component. It's very important. Partnerships with industry players and partnership with billboard operators. The other key component is obviously a technology stacks, Bitcoin, developers, all the people in the team that have helped us build this stuff, and members of the community that have volunteer code and solutions to make this stuff grow. We have a VIP community. We have contributors. We have bug testers. We have a lot of people working for free. And that's a very special part of our community. We have a group of ambassadors, and they help us with recruitment. And these ambassadors help us grow. So every month we are growing. We are minting more digital land. We are adding more people to the ecosystem, and we are recruiting more people to distribute ads. And we have no investors. We have like 0 investors. So we did everything like on our own. So either it was community funding or it was out of my own pocket. And, we got to be like a top 10 stocks tokens with no investments. We got to over 20,000 followers with no investment. We got features in like multiple like magazines and events and all that stuff without like any outside money. So when we start putting money into this ecosystem, I think it's gonna grow like really fast, because we have already the components of growth. Like once you start unlocking those levels, you can actually make this thing grow faster, because we have at some point to start advertising Bitfari, which is something that we haven't actually done. So this has all happened via word of mouth.
Yeah, you've been building in stealth, and you guys have revenue now. You have people buying the advertisements. More and more are coming in. You have auditors, right? More and more now. They're making money. I feel very grateful to be a token owner in Bitfari. And I like to say it's like not a small amount from my point of view.
So we were a startup story brought a piece on us, and they named us one top 5, actually number 4, top 5 fastest growing advertising network in America. And we are also the first DAO in America. We also have like the first, like we patented like this way of showing ads. So we are the first mover in many avenues, and we are only gonna keep growing faster and faster and faster. Because what we wanna do is this: we wanna finish building, and we wanna finish recruiting all of the key like pioneers, like first people that use the platform, the innovators. And we want these people to actually become the testimonials that go into an event and speak about their experiences with the platform. And when we open up the floodgates, we get like hundreds of people to use the platform. So right now We have 7 lawyers using the platform, but once those lawyers go up to a stage on an event and speak about their experiences, we hope to start adding like tens and even hundreds of lawyers like every month to use the platform. Lawyers are one of the biggest users of billboards in America. And we also have use cases, for auto dealerships and other sorts of businesses that use
Yeah.
mass.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There are a
so
lot of businesses that depend on outdoor advertising and digital and digital billboards, and your platform technology is going to disrupt that entire industry. This is really exciting. So there you have it. Bitfari is going to do for advertising what Bitcoin did for currencies and banking. Is there any alpha that you can share before we wrap this up? I mean, like eventually, I'm sure that you're going to make some investors very lucky to be able to invest in your company. That's probably like a few months down the road. What are some of the milestones that you want to hit before you open that up? Also, I heard maybe that you might be listing your token on several exchanges. That's also in the works. Can you share about some broad? You don't have to talk about too many details, but maybe you can give like a high level of
yeah,
like this
yeah.
roadmap, what's going on.
So I'll share 2 pieces of information. The first one, I wanna give a shout out to Bitcoin Startup Lab, where I'm a mentor. So either if you join the Bitcoin Startup Lab or the Bitcoin Olympics, we wanna help people for free, give them a lot of coaching to help them steer their advertising in the right direction. And what the Bitcoin Startup Lab did for us was to help us focus on revenue, on sales, to pick the key markets and focus on building the right partnerships to actually grow faster. And it helped us sort of like bring down all of the fogginess that comes about with starting a new business. Because when you're starting a new business, there are all of these parameters and all of these options, but you help us really focus, zone in on what to do, and realizing the value of talking to customers that can help you cast a light into your weak points, right? Customers are like the best flashlights to see, you have a problem here, you have a problem there, and that gives you a lot of focus. So those customer interviews were really helpful, but also the revenue part was really helpful. And I want as many people as possible to join the program. You're actually like accepting applications right now. So that's important.
Right,
So this
right.
would be a timely shout out. So that's number 1. Number 2, okay, so I am a traditional guy that comes from consulting and that went to business school and that does things by the book. But I'm also a scrappy guy that came out of poverty and is an immigrant and is somebody that knows how to play with very little. So what we are doing is that we are getting all of our ducks in a row. We have 4 approvals to list on several exchanges. So we have a contract with Bitmart. We have a contract with P2P, B2B. We have a contract with Indacoin that might include the emission of a card that lets you use Faris to purchase stuff in real life with a Visa card. We started the conversations with KuCoin, and we started the conversations with Alex BTC. Now, every one of these deals, these are like 5 deals for listing the coin. Every one of these deals will be listed in the short term, and we will probably list in multiple exchanges at the same time, given the fact that a lot of people want the token, they want to use the token has a lot of utility. That's like number 1, and that's like 5 exchanges there. We have a token bridge for Ethereum that is called EtherFari, and then we're going to do a listing of 1 million tokens in Ethereum, and those tokens will have a 1-to-1 value with the Faris. So we're going to put the million Faris in the bridge, and they're going to have a 1-to-1 value with the EtherFari. So you're going to be able to trade Faris on Uniswap, and you're going to be able to trade Faris on any compatible.
Nice.
Nice, right?
Nice.
So this is built. This was built 2 months ago. The code is shared, is public on GitHub, and that is also a pending listing, in Uniswap. We might do all of those at once in a single big event. And we are
When is
very
this happening, roughly?
This is happening roughly when we finish coding everything. And this is happening roughly this summer, roughly. Last summer, we were planning to list on Bitmart, but Stacks wasn't listed. Stacks got a delay of 1 year. So we deem it, adequate just to wait until Stacks gets listed. Right now, we are clear to list. So if we wanted, we could list like tomorrow, or we could list like next week. So we're gonna get our ducks in a row to list this summer. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I know what I'm going to do with my tokens. I'm going to reinvest into the Bitcoin Startup Lab so we can train more entrepreneurs.
Grow faster. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Just we need more innovators and entrepreneurs like you, Jordhy. Like you just, you have this like the winning like muscle. Like we noticed a few things about successful founders. One, obviously they have grit and resilience. Obviously, the audience hears that from your the story that you shared about your life getting to where you are, a founder's journey to Bitcoin. The second one we noticed is that like mental flexibility, right? Which you also have. And the third one, in the audience, right, so this is I'm not just like talking Jordhy up. I'm also hoping that some people in the audience resonates with these qualities, right? The third quality is that we notice that successful founders, they have muscle memory for becoming a champion in something. It could be math, it could be chess, it could be like swimming, it could be a hobby, right? Whatever it is like the muscle memory of becoming so passionate about something and working at it and climbing up the ladder until you become number one. And that creates some kind of faith in ourselves and our abilities. And then when we become entrepreneurs, we can apply, we have that muscle memory, and we want to repeat that in the entrepreneurial environment. And that's what I was impressed me about our first talk, last year, right? It was already over half a year ago now. But that was what I saw in you, Jordhy. And to the audience, if you guys have these qualities, I encourage you to join us, because we are a community of champions. All right. Thank you, Jordhy, for sharing your story. Again, everyone in the audience, Jordhy is the CEO and founder of Bifari, and they are revolutionizing and disrupting the advertisement industry. Think what Bitcoin did for banking, Bifari is going to do for advertisement. All right, so stay tuned. A lot of great stuff coming up for Bifari, and thank you, Jordhy, for spending time with us and sharing so much of your journey into Bitcoin. Thank you, Jordhy.
Thanks, Albert. Thank you so much.